Yeah.
Okay, we're live. Hold on.
Yep.
Boom,
Hey,
we're live.
here we are.
And it piped us right into the right chat too, I think. Not sure.
This is the new chat. This is the new
Okay, great.
So yes, creator
Rock and roll.
Creator Fundamentals says we're live, so we are live. Thank you, everybody. Huge thank you for hanging in there with us. We really appreciate it. And we are now live with Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin. Since this will be perhaps be a podcast as well, I'll start a little bit more formally in just a second. But I want to say a huge thank you to all the people here who hung in there, and we're going to give you a great show. We really appreciate you hanging in. What are you guys as far as a time? Is there a certain time you have to be off since we're starting later? Or
yeah, we have a members only live stream, and we have to do a little bit of prep for that. So 11:40. So basically, exactly 1 hour from now would be fantastic.
Oh, so that gives us plenty of time to rock and roll. I just want to say quick hello to Beanie Draws, Dan Norton's here, Beauty Bubble, Rigor is here. You do it. Hybrid Steel.
All the awesome folks.
All these great people. Creator Dan is here. Steve, Flinter, Dizzy Duke Gaming, Zaggy, DK. And if I missed anybody, I apologize, but I'm so grateful to everybody for sticking with this and coming over. Uncle Dan's Dumbassery is here. Snowy Rains, Ron's Trains and Things. So thank you, everybody. And that's a little pre-show excitement for you. 42 minutes later, but we are ready to go. And here we go. So welcome to the live stream, people. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ross Brand from LivestreamUniverse.com, and this is Brand on Broadcasting. Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin are the guests today. They have not done a joint interview together before, and so I'm extremely grateful to them for choosing Brand on Broadcasting for their first show. It's also my first time going live with an interview show on YouTube, so a lot of firsts today, but Nick and Dee are really experienced YouTubers who put out great content every Saturday morning. They do Nimmin Live, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. I don't know what the record, I think, is 6. Is it 6?
Our record's 7. Yeah,
Seven.
we're a little bit over 7 hours for the record, yeah.
7 hours live with YouTube tips and YouTube news, and taking your questions in the chat and channel reviews and advice and everything else to help people grow and monetize their YouTube channel. And that's going to be one of the themes here today, but we're also going to find out a little bit about Nick and Dee as people, as brothers, as co-hosts, as creators. And we appreciate any questions that you have for them. Please do throw that in the chat. And thank you again for being here. And since we do have a new link for the show, if you don't mind tweeting this out, if you don't mind clicking that like and share button and letting people know we are live, and extremely grateful to have Nick and Dee here. And let's get to it, guys. So before we get into all your tips on growing and monetizing your YouTube channel, tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Thailand as expats coming from the Midwest of the United States.
Well, yeah, I'll take this one. Yeah, I'll take this one. So Dee was here already. So Dee had a media company to where it allowed him to work online. And basically, I got out of a relationship and I was having trouble with it. And I was on the phone with him, and being the awesome brother that he is, he was like, hey, if you can take a month, all expense paid trip, come over to Thailand, hang out, clear your mind, and all of that stuff, just for like a change of scenery to kind of, just get me back on track. And I came over and we had an awesome, amazing month together. We went all over the country, just had an awesome time. And during that time, I was talking to him and I was like, hey, man, this is just awesome. I would love to, be able to stay here and, kind of do what you do and that kind of stuff. And he said, hey, if this is something that you want to do, then, I can mentor you and show you the ropes, so to speak, in order to make it possible. And
so I taught him how to kickbox, and he became a champion. And that's pretty much how we ended up here, Ross.
Now he's just kicking ass left and right on YouTube and everywhere else. So, where are you guys located in Thailand? For those who aren't familiar with the country, can you give us a little layout of the landscape? We
are in northern Thailand in a city called Chiang Mai. It's not too far from Myanmar, or Burma, as you might know it. And we're elevated close to the mountains, so it's not as hot and as humid as you might get elsewhere in Thailand. And what's the population like? Population size and all that kind of stuff.
It's what, the second or third largest?
Yeah, it's the second or third largest. Yeah. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's really spread out. It's spread out across a really large area. So I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
It's a good-sized city.
If there's anybody here who hasn't already, and judging from all the great names I see in the chat, I think you guys have already done it. But if you haven't done so, subscribe to Nick's channel. It's very easy, youtube.com/Nick Nimmin. And subscribe to Dee's channel, youtube.com/Dee Nimmin. Dee gives great advice on everything to do with creating mobile video. Nick is, of course, your expert in YouTube channel growth with over 300,000 subscribers. He's been on fire the last couple of years, and now they're both sharing their knowledge and wisdom with people. So you get together, you're in Thailand. How did you come to be working together as video creators and then as co-hosts?
Well, part of the thing with him mentoring me was bringing me over here and kind of taking me under his wing in terms of, helping with the graphic design thing and all of that. So that's what I personally did over here for a long time was, focused on the graphic design side of things. And then we picked up a handful of difficult clients for that. And it's causing a lot of just, it made the day-to-day life not as awesome as you would like it to be, so to speak. And because of that, we started looking for other solutions in terms of things that we could do to where we didn't have to work with, clients that we didn't care for that much. And one of the roads, that's the nice way of saying
Very
it, but
diplomatic.
one of the roads that we ended up taking was trying out YouTube.
Wow, that's
you tried that.
Yeah, that's what I say. One of the roads. Because we were both trying different things, and it kind of went from that stuff to doing, just some smaller graphic design projects to doing a little bit of internet marketing. And then from the internet marketing, I started watching some YouTube videos, and everybody's talking about, building an email list and all that. I started watching Gideon Shalwick, for example, and James Wedmore, and they were really, really focused on, building a business around a YouTube channel. So I'm like, okay, hey, I'll put up some videos and try to drive people to an email list and see how that works. And at the time, I was watching people like Daryl Leaves, for example, and Tim Schmoyer and guys like that trying to get an idea of how all this stuff works on YouTube. And, that kind of, got the whole thing going.
So Ron from Ron's Trains and Things looked it up and said that Chiang Mai has a population of 131,000 people. Okay. So Nick actually has more subscribers than people in the city that we're living in.
That's crazy.
Right?
Wow.
Almost double the population here.
Wow, that's crazy.
So you need to create your own city.
Yeah, I'm creating my own city, Nimmin Dee.
That's right.
Yeah.
It would probably be the second largest city in Thailand then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to set up a GoFundMe account.
Yeah, to start a city.
It's going to be expensive.
Yeah. Cities aren't cheap these days, so we're going to see what we can do.
Yeah.
And then everybody's required to watch the live stream. It's like North Korea, where you have to keep the radio on. You have to keep the live stream on Saturday morning.
Every channel.
Yeah. It's either one of our videos. Right? Yeah, it's either one of our videos or a live stream. Yeah.
Right. So now you're live streaming. Your channel that you currently have wasn't your first channel, right? You started
was my first channel, actually.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you've done some other things before you got into just YouTube focused on helping people with YouTube. Of course, it's all focused on YouTube if you're on YouTube. So what are some of the things you did before you really took off with teaching people about YouTube?
So basically the progression of that went from, initially I just started out doing just general video tips. I wasn't really YouTube focused per se. I was just doing, general video tips, and I was doing like productivity stuff. Like, let's say that you're working, because it was an experience that I was going through. It was like, let's say that you're working at a cafe and you want to stay productive. Right. So here's some things that you can do to make sure that people don't interrupt you, and, making that kind of videos that were on the channel at the time. And, during that process of making those videos, that's when Daryl Leaves did his 100,000 subscriber video, and he put out a call and he said, hey, if anybody, wants to make a video, let me know what my channel did for them, or, what they've learned from me or anything like that. Submit it to me, and if it's decent, then, maybe I'll put you in the video. And I submitted a video to him, and he hit me up right away. And he said, hey, I love, how you actually present, the camera quality, everything, like,
wow.
Looks good, sounds good, all that stuff. And he offered to help me start another project. And of course, I took that opportunity, and that channel was called All Our Questions. And that channel, the foundations of that channel were so solid. We were actually talking about it today, that I'm still generating, like a couple hundred subscribers. Wow. I haven't uploaded to that channel in probably 2 years, but the foundations of that channel are so solid that I'm still generating a couple hundred subscribers per month. And I'm generating, I think, close to 2,000 or over 2,000 views a day, or every 48 hours on that channel still, after not uploading for over 2 years. So, but then basically what happened there is I was grinding really hard on that channel, and I loved making the content, and the entire experience was awesome. And it lit my fire in terms of, seeing what happens with the YouTube community, and seeing the feedback that you get, and starting to see little hints of the reach that you can have. And it just kind of, lit my fire for YouTube. So I said, I'm making all this content for this channel. I love it, but I'm still doing the graphic design thing, because I wasn't making any money off of the channel yet. I'm still doing the graphic design thing. So I only have so much time in the day, and I would come to the decision of, okay, I can work on design stuff, or I can make videos. And I would always default to making videos most of the time. And I would do the bare minimum for clients, which caused even more stress. And what ended up happening is, with the upload schedule and with the research involved with that content, and because I was new, so editing videos and all that stuff took me a really long time. The entire workflow was a lot longer then than it is now. And because of that, I ended up burning out. And I just couldn't do everything that I was trying to do. So what I did is I said, okay, I'm hooked on YouTube. I want to keep doing YouTube, but I'm going to go back to this other channel, which is my current channel. I'm going to go back to my other channel, and I'm going to start making content there, because it's easier content to make, because I don't have to do a bunch of research and things like that. And then I started continuing there with just like, here's some YouTube video ideas and, really basic stuff. And then I did one collaboration video with Brian D. Johnson. And that collaboration video was on how to rank videos in search. And people loved that video. And they're like, hey, you should make more videos like this. You should make more videos like this. Hey, give us some more YouTube tips. So I just started, like YouTube says, follow the audience, right? Give the audience what they want. And I started, making more YouTube specific videos, until it got to the point to where every single video that I'm putting out now is a YouTube specific video.
So my take on that, Ross, is he was like, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, cool, great. Didn't think anything of it. Then he comes to me all excited, and he's like, this guy, Daryl Leaves. Yeah. Daryl Leaves, this YouTuber teacher guy, this really big guy, And I'm just like, cool. Yeah. Like, didn't know who Daryl Leaves was, didn't know anything. I had no idea, the impact and the reach that people could have with the YouTube channel. No idea who Daryl Leaves was. And then I would go around. We actually helped you shoot some stuff, like in Japan. We were in Japan shooting some stuff.
Yeah, in Japan, the Grand Canyon.
China. We were shooting some stuff for the channel. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, No clue that I'd be sitting here right now.
Right.
Yeah, and so once you get into something like YouTube, you take it for granted that names like Daryl Leaves, like everybody must, like he's a household name in our world. But, all these names that we talk about aren't necessarily familiar to everyone, especially outside that world. For those who may not know, Daryl Eves is the founder of VidSummit. He's got 500,000 to 600,000 subscribers. He's been doing YouTube since pretty much since YouTube started, I think, and has become known as one of the major consultants and experts on how to use YouTube.
Just an awesome guy. We'll just go ahead and also package in there that he's just an awesome guy, just in general. Like the care that he gives to the community and the information that he gives to the community, and the effort he puts into trying to bring creators together and all that stuff. He's an awesome guy.
What would you say is sort of like the number one thing you took away from working with Daryl that helped your channel grow?
For me, it was more about planning and knowing who you're making the content for, and actually like designing everything it is that you're doing to make sure that you're nailing that target person that you're trying to reach. So basically, like to kind of put that into a nutshell, it's basically knowing who you're making your content for and making sure that you stay laser focused on making that content. Because on YouTube, a problem that everybody has is we all want to, like, there's the list of videos that I have that I know for a fact the audience is going to love these. And then there's a list of videos that I want to make. And sometimes I'll sprinkle those in. But the thing is a lot of people, there's the list of the stuff that the audience will love, and then there's the stuff that they want to make, and they'll focus more on the stuff that they want to make instead of focusing on the audience. And at the end of the day, however you try to frame it, at the end of the day, in some form or fashion, we're educators, we're entertainers, we're motivators, we're all of that stuff. And because of that, it's our job on our YouTube channels to make sure that we're serving that audience.
So Dee, as you're watching all this come together, all of a sudden your baby brother's becoming a superstar.
I didn't know for like a long time. He just kept telling me.
It wasn't until I was like 80, 90,000 subscribers that he even picked up on
He's
that it was like a good thing.
Right. I'm going to Vid Summit. I'm like, cool, have a good trip. And then I'm like clueless, absolutely clueless. Yeah. And then finally, I don't remember what made it click, but something clicked somewhere. And I was like, whoa, what? Explain that to me. Say that again. You got paid for that? What? How much? What? How many people are watching your videos? What?
So that's where you said, I got to get in on this.
Well, more than anything, he was telling me about how much fun he was having.
Yeah. Right.
He came back. So he went to Vid Summit, one person, and he came back from Vid Summit like a different person, completely laser focused and like really excited. And that was, I think, when we had the conversation. Yeah. And he was
that was the first time we met Ross at Vid Summit there, that first one.
Yeah, and he was telling me about the people he was meeting and how exciting it was, and I was like, okay, well, maybe let's do a channel together, a live stream. That would be really cool. So we actually came up with an idea to do another channel. It was just going to be like a live stream thing. We were going to teach people how to do creator stuff, really. Yeah. And we tested it on his channel, which is the studio. The studio that you see behind us.
This was actually built for that other channel.
Right. And then it worked on his channel really well. So we just ran with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then have you always been passionate, Dee, about doing mobile video? How did you get into that as your area of expertise?
I'm passionate about tinkering, about figuring stuff out. So I like, I'm in the bathroom, laying in bed. I'm at the cafe. I'm always fooling around with apps, seeing what I can do with an app. And when I was trying to think of, what can I do? I'm looking at YouTube and, the space is filled. And I can't do exactly what he does. One, because I didn't have the knowledge. And two, because that would be pretty silly to have two Nimmins doing the exact same thing, right? So I was thinking, what can I do? And I went through a couple of different things that I thought, I'll do this. And then I didn't do that. And I'll do this. And then I was just spending so much time on my phone. And I heard, people like Gary Vee saying that, look at everybody, their attention's right here. And I was like, yeah, that's where everyone's attention is. So that's where I went.
Yeah.
Here I am.
And you guys seem to have such an easygoing, like, great relationship with each other. What is it like being brothers and co-hosts and collaborators? Is it as smooth as it looks on the surface, or?
Yeah, it is. Like,
I'm gonna whip him when we get off of here.
We're boxing over. No, yeah, like our relationship just in general is awesome. So like this just adds like a whole other dynamic to it, because in addition to, our relationship that we have, we also get to share that with other people. And we also get to, work together to impact other people as well. Right. So all the way around, I mean, it's a win.
Right.
So let's get into some tools and tips and things. Start out for both of you guys. What are some of your, top 3 tools that you use to help in either creating, promoting, researching, anything to do with YouTube and YouTube video creation?
TubeBuddy. The number one browser plugin for YouTube content creators.
Browser.
So I said,
it's a browser.
Number one browser plugin too.
Browsers and browsers, TubeBuddy has you covered.
Yep.
Right.
We use Streamlabs OBS for our live streams. And then outside of that, pretty much, everything from there is pretty much computer based. Outside of any phone specific stuff.
I'm going to throw on there keywords everywhere.
Yeah, those are also great tools. Yeah, Morning Fame, keywords everywhere.
Keywords everywhere, of course.
Yeah, Monday for the content schedule, Monday.com. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What is Monday.com? That's a new one for me.
Agora Pulse for social media. For social media scheduling is fantastic. I think you, Ross, are also an Agora Pulse user as well. Yeah. So what was your question?
Monday?
Yeah. So Monday is what I use as my content schedule. So it's Monday.com. Okay. And they basically make it to where you can customize each piece of content. So for example, like it's like instead of it being a calendar view, it's more like a list view. And you can actually set different parts in the process. So I have an editor that works with me. So with the editor, basically like I upload, like I'll put in a list of video ideas, and then I'll put the dates of when those are going to be completed. And then I have like a bunch of different tabs in terms of the process itself. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, this one's first an idea. Now it's actually videos that I recorded. So then I just change the tab on that. And then I change it again when I upload the files to Dropbox so that he gets notified that the files are on Dropbox. He changes it to files received. And then once the files are received, then he changes it to being edited once it's being edited. And then it gets changed to pending approval, changes needed or approved before it goes up onto YouTube.
Wow. I just signed
it's an awesome system.
I just signed up last night for Morning Fame, and thanks to Doug Hewson for sending me a link. And I gotta say, I was fascinated because it's so easy to understand the insights in the way that Morning Fame looks at them, and it just really like I feel like I'm learning with their little comments and things as I'm going down, and very, very easy to start to pinpoint what you need to do more of and what's not working if you're new to looking at analytics and things like that. On the mobile side, Dee, what are some tools that you like as far as either editing or, enhancing your mobile phone camera or anything like that?
So the number one app that I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat right now is going to agree with me. He's going to agree with me. Snapseed.
Totally disagree. No, I'm just kidding.
You're about to see what happens between two brothers when he gets out of line. No. For me, Snapseed, like every single photo that I send, if I'm going to send my mom a photo, that doesn't even matter. Hey, mom, look at this butterfly. I'm going to run it through Snapseed. It's become such like a habit for me to run everything through Snapseed. It's a free app. It's owned by Google. It's an image editor. So for image editing, Snapseed, and of course there's Lightroom. I think those are probably the two best for image editing. I just recently fell in love with a camera app called, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Halide camera app. A fantastic camera app. I just fell in love with that. So I think right now those two are my top apps. Those three.
Nick, is it you use Adobe for do you use the Adobe suite for editing and creation?
Yeah, so for any graphic based stuff, any video graphics, that is all done. It's either done in Photoshop completely, or it will be the actual graphics made in Photoshop, and then any animation type stuff, I actually transfer it to Vegas, and then it gets animated in there for video graphics. But now basically I have a template of sorts. So all the video graphics and all that stuff, for the most part, it's always the same unless there's something specific that needs to come up on the screen. Like, let's say that I mention an app, for example.
Like
Snapseed. Then in that particular case, then I can have something come up on the screen to where it shows it in the Play Store or something like that. But even in that case, I have a specific background graphic that I use, that lays in the back for that. So I have all of those contained in their own files. And those are up on Dropbox as well, so the editor can just pull those down, just drop them in where they need to be. So it streamlines the process considerably.
That's pretty clever.
And that's thank you. And that's one of the things that you learn along the way. Like when you're making a lot of content for YouTube, you are forced into learning how to streamline what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, the more templates you can build around your process, the faster you're going to work.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for joining us. We are talking with Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin, the co-hosts of Nimmin Live, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. You can catch them and get their YouTube tips and tricks and channel reviews and the latest news on YouTube. And we will get to your questions. If you have questions, throw in the comment question : and then ask your question, so we can quickly go back and catch all the questions coming in.
All of them.
We want to get to everybody's question if we can. We have some people here I know who are quite on top of what's going on as far as YouTube goes. Very experienced. I see them regularly in your live streams and watching your videos. What are some things that you're looking at as far as perhaps changes to YouTube or new strategies, or what type of adjustments are you guys making, if any, for 2019?
For 2019, it's all the same thing, right? Like basically like the whole thing, like if you take the entire thing and you simplify it as much as you possibly can, you have to make everything that you're doing in a way that people respond to it. If it's your thumbnails, your titles, if you're writing descriptions, you're trying to get people to respond in those descriptions by either clicking a link to buy something, or to click a link to follow you on social media, or to click a link to go and watch another video or another playlist that you have. So basically just keeping everything as responsive in terms of people responding to it as much as possible, because the more that you do that, then the better the algorithm treats you. And it's like that pretty much on any platform. And that's an age-old thing, right? Even with websites, they judge you by, on page time and how deep into the site people go and things like that. And those same foundational concepts apply to YouTube too. So you have to just keep focusing in. How can I get people to watch for 30 seconds more, right? How can I raise this click-through rate on my thumbnail just 1%? You know what I mean? And you just have to keep super focused on that.
Keep whittling away.
Yeah. And it's difficult. Like sometimes, you'll get it and you're like, hey, this is working. And then for whatever reason, things will take a turn, because maybe there's like an audience shift of some kind to where things will take a turn a little bit. And it's like, okay, well, this isn't working as good as it used to. So now I got to start figuring it out again. Like a lot of people will look at people like they'll look at my channel and be like, okay, well, Nick knows all this stuff about YouTube, and I do know a lot of stuff about YouTube. However, I'm also constantly learning about YouTube. That's a unique position that I have, is because this is something that I do, something that I'm into. So because of that, I have the time to constantly be looking into, YouTube and trying to figure out, what's making everything work. And that gives me the information that I need in order to, try to make everything or try to get people to respond to everything as much as possible.
Now, for the newbies out there, what are a few of the common mistakes you see that maybe you could alert people to, so they don't make those mistakes? And or what should they stop doing, which you often see newbies doing, that kill their ability to get any momentum going?
The biggest problem, the two biggest problems that I see new people coming onto the platform do, is they don't spend enough time on their thumbnails. They don't understand the importance of having a great eye-catching sticky thumbnail
and brand. All around.
And brand all the way around. Big disconnects between their channel header and their thumbnails and the overall look of everything. And also not spending time or learning how to craft a proper title.
Yeah, and in addition to that too, like a lot of people will go on YouTube and I was actually talking to a guy on
high expectations.
Yeah, there's that too. But I was talking to a guy on Reddit to where he was in a subreddit. This was actually today or yesterday, and he was giving all of this advice based on like absolutes, right? Like, okay, well, only a Sith does absolutes. Absolutely.
Absolutes, right.
But he was giving all this advice based on, absolutes, like this is exactly how it is. And basically our argument that was going back and forth was, people who think in that way on YouTube are typically thinking in that way because they have like one or two channels. But when you start, working with a bunch of other channels, you start seeing how things work differently across different channels, then it really widens your view and lets you step back and say, wow, okay, each one of these channels, yes, the core principles are still there, but in terms of like the details that make people respond to different stuff, like each channel is kind of like its own entity that people respond to in a different way. So like, for example, Ross, like I can look at my channel, I could go into my stats, and then I could go into your stats, and I could say, hey, just do this because it works on my channel, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work on your channel. So it's important that any content creator that is, putting content up onto YouTube or anywhere, that you're constantly testing the stuff that you're doing so that you can make sure that you're fine tuning what you're doing for your specific audience. Because like, for example, like the reason that that's so important is like when I publish a video based on, you know, user histories and how YouTube works, when I publish a video, my videos are going to get shown to people that are completely different than the people that are going to get shown your content, for example. And because of that, I'm reaching a different group of people. YouTube is presenting me to a different group of people that are going to respond in a different way than they're going to respond to your content, which is why it's super important to be testing all this stuff on your own channel instead of taking, you know, blanket advice and saying, you know, this is absolute, this is exactly how it is. You have to take the foundational stuff as your core and then start testing all the different stuff on your channel.
You guys want to hit some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right, let's bring some questions in. Kim Hughes, Real Estate, asks.
Hey, Kim.
She's new to YouTube and has a channel that's niched to a specific audience and wants to create a channel focused on another niche. Yes, you can have multiple channels with multiple Gmail addresses, right? The question is, good strategy to have different channels for different topics or different niches?
Absolutely. If you have the time to do it, without question. Just one thing to keep in mind is, let's say both channels do well, then your time restraints are gonna swell pretty quick with that as well. But with that said, you know, you can build that in. Like if you're doing real estate right now, then there's probably a good chance that if you're running 2 different channels, that you're probably doing it for different facets of your business. And because of that, as you know, as let's say that both channels ended up doing well, then in that particular case, then you'll be able to hire the right people in order to help you manage that and all that. So in your specific case, yeah, no problem at all. But you know, like let's say that somebody has like 2 gaming channels, for example. At the start, it's easy because in that particular case, it's like, you know, hey, I'm just uploading, you know, a couple of videos a week on each channel. But as everything starts, you know, swelling, there's all this back end stuff that you have to stay on top of if you're, you know, trying to monetize and all that. There's all this back end stuff that you have to stay on top of, and that's where things start getting, you know, more complicated.
Do you think, because you know, a lot of people in the chat are focused on things like YouTube or live streaming or podcasting or whatever, do you think those are those categories can be too broad, or do you think, you know, focusing on those type of categories is a niche in and of itself?
So, for example, like, are you saying that like they're focusing on podcasting as a niche?
Right, or they're focusing on live streaming, or they're focusing on video creation. So you don't have to niche it down further than the general topic, right?
You can if there's an audience to support it, but in terms of having like an umbrella like that, absolutely. Like you can even go even wider if you wanted to, and you could make a channel that's, you know, that's specific for people that just make stuff. Right. So it's like, hey, this is just for people that make stuff. So if you're into podcasting, we got you covered. Live streaming, we got you covered. Video, we've got you covered. For
that's all kind of what I'm doing on my channel with if I'm tackling mobile, right? It's going after Android. But this is a problem that I have by doing that. Right. So now I have this divide on my channel. I have Android users and I have iPhone users. So now I have to pick and choose which type of videos I'm going to make. So I have to walk that fine line. So if you're making a channel like that, beware, there's divides hiding that you might not think of.
Sure. Yeah. But like if you have that, like, you know, that audience of people that are doing all of the stuff, you know, like Ross, you know, you do all the stuff, you know, like we currently,
all of it.
Yeah, like we're getting ready to launch a podcast coming up here soon as well. Currently, I just do with Owen with Owen Video, the Business of Video podcast. But you know, like I'm also one of those people to where I do live streaming video, you know, some podcasting, all that stuff. And there's a lot of us out there. So because of that, you know, having like an umbrella channel like that where you do cover those topics, you know, like I would be that avatar that you'd be trying to reach. You know what I mean?
Right. And then you can break it down into playlists. So your videos about how to create podcasts can go in one playlist. Your videos about live streaming can go in another one. You can have one for gear. You can have, you know, you can have as many playlists as you want, right?
Right. And just keep in mind though, like with that, kind of like what Dee was saying, like in his situation, because you have like a strong divide between, you know, you have iPhone people and you have Android people. So like in his case, what he runs into is like when he puts out an Android video, because a large percentage, I think you're 70-something% or something like that of his audience are Android users. So when he puts out an iPhone video, he's isolating, a lot of his core audience. So what he's reliant on in that particular situation is pulling in new people that are into the iPhones, right? So what he can expect is that initial performance of that video to not be as high as if he puts out an Android video. Now, if that video is going to continue doing poorly, is going to be, based on how it performs in search and all of that. But in terms of that initial, release of that video, because his audience is primarily Android users, when he releases that iPhone video, his views are typically lower on it.
Speaking of that, when you have low performing videos, do you recommend making them private or taking them down, or just leaving them up on your channel? They're not doing any harm.
It depends on how they're performing. So if, for example, if it's performing low in terms of audience retention, then there's a few different things that can cause that. One of those is simply just the expectation that people have when they click on the thumbnail or title. So because of that, you have to look at it objectively, right? Which we all have trouble doing, but you have to look at it objectively and say, okay, does the title and the thumbnail of this, do I deliver on what it is that I'm saying there? Because if not, then there's a good chance that you're going to take a hit on retention. So you have to look at that and say, okay, does this match up? And if it doesn't, or even if it does, then you want to try to experiment with changing the thumbnail, changing the title, changing the overall metadata on it. So you're packaging it as something different to see if you can get people to respond to it. And then after that, if you can't figure out a way to get people to respond to it, then personally, I would just leave it on the channel, because it's still content that your audience, as it grows, can still go back and watch, and you can still link to from other videos if it's relevant to the stuff that you're currently talking about. So because of that, I would leave it on the channel. But if it's something that, like, let's say that you have a channel that's 6 years old, and you have, 10 videos on that channel, and, they got a lot of views back in the day. In that particular case, I would still leave them on the channel so that you don't lose the watch time and views from taking them off. But I wouldn't have those in your main presentation on your actual channel page.
There's some people who have, they started a channel, didn't really know what they were doing. So their videos are from 3 years ago. They have 10 subscribers and, 4 total views or whatever. And now they've learned something about YouTube and they want to really ramp it up. Should you recommend that they start fresh with a new channel, or should they try and revitalize a channel that's been around for a while and hasn't gone anywhere, even if the subject matter in general is going to be the same? It's just they're going to approach it more strategically, and they're ready to make videos that are going to make an impact on their audience.
I would start fresh. If you have 10 subscribers, 100 subscribers, 500 subscribers, 1,000 subscribers, like I would start fresh. Let's say, it depends on the age of the channel, if the videos are still performing and that kind of stuff. Like, for example, because of my All Our Questions channel that I referenced earlier, because that one's still getting, people are still coming in. It's still active. People are still leaving comments there every single day. So like I can go back to that one, even though I haven't done anything with it in 2 years. And I can go in and start, uploading videos to it. And then I also would use the traffic from my channel to help, push and kind of kickstart everything. So because of that, I could keep that one going. Now, if that channel was completely dead, no activity on it, nothing happening, I just had a bunch of stagnant videos on there, then I would just start new.
Right. One of the great things about live streaming is the live chat, and the fact that people ask questions that I probably wouldn't have thought of. And this is a terrific example and a wonderful question. Motivation Theory asks, how much time do you spend on channel and video optimization versus content production?
Ooh, good question.
So,
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, in terms of the channel itself, like once I get that taken care of, like I'll experiment with moving playlists around. For example, I just did a change where I changed the video that is my trailer video, and I changed, the way my playlists are displayed right now. So that's, one thing that I just did. And then now that that's there, I'm just kind of letting it run in the background like that to see, how it performs. And then in terms of the actual videos themselves, because my specific niche is pretty specific in terms of the content that people are looking for, I know pretty well how to optimize one of my videos. In his situation, his are a little bit different because—
What are you trying to say?
in his case, they're a little bit different because he's going after, totally fresh, stuff that neither of us have explored before. So, when he does his stuff, it's a little bit, more difficult. So
I have a lot of hooks in the water right now.
Yeah. So like with his, it'll take more time. So in terms of like optimizing the videos, even still, if you have like experience in SEO and all that stuff, and the processes, then you can still get through that pretty quick. So because of that, I would say content production would be the thing that takes the longest.
Yeah. Great question here. Paul Peck is dealing with wanting to get that membership feature. He's got 30,000 subs, which you need to qualify. He's actually at 38,000, and no copyright or community strikes. So he wants to know how he can go about getting that channel membership feature. Easy for me to say.
Paul, I wish I had an answer for you, but unfortunately I don't for that. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you to @Team YouTube, for example, on Twitter and ask them what's going on, or maybe hop on, with send support an email, see if you can get in that way. But for, outside of that, then you just have to kind of wait for it, because with all these features, because there's stuff that, all of us are chomping at the bit. I was chomping at the bit to get the membership stuff also. And even at the time when they first started releasing that, I think I had like 120 or 150,000 subscribers on my channel. And it took me all the way until I had, I think it was like 250,000 or something like that until I got it. So from the time that they actually started putting that out until I actually got it, I gained like a whole other 100,000 subscribers in that meantime. So so they just kind of roll that stuff out and they release it as they release it. And unless you have like a partner manager or something like that, there's nothing that you can really do that I'm aware of in order to kind of shoehorn yourself in there.
I was just looking for a tweet. I thought I took a screen grab of it from Team YouTube. Somebody actually asked them on Twitter, and they said once you hit the threshold of that, I forget the time limit. I don't know if
it goes into a queue.
Yes. Yeah, they actually said how long. I don't know if it's a couple of weeks or a month or two once you hit that threshold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
It was on Team YouTube's Twitter.
Okay.
And now YouTube sets what you charge for a membership. There's no flexibility with that. And then when people join, where do they find sort of members only content, or how do they stay whatever the member benefits are? How do they track that?
They get that inside of the community feed. So basically, if you have a membership, you have a community feed. So with your community feed, there's a drop down to where you can actually select members only, and then you can make members only posts, which is really cool. And then from there, you can do anything you want. So like once you have those members only posts, then you have that opportunity to speak directly to the channel members. So for example, today I set up a Discord and I set up a Facebook group for channel members. I'm going to set up an email list that's specific for channel members as well, to make sure that when we're going to go and we're going to do our members only live stream, like we're going to do after this show, for example, that when that happens, that, to make sure everybody gets notified and all that stuff. And just to kind of spread it out a little bit, because the community feed's pretty limited in terms of what you can do. And there's not much interaction outside of thumbs up and comments from the member side. And I want to be able to, build, that deeper community, right? I want to be able to build that deeper community by, being able to like chat with people. Somebody has a problem, they can ask, and then, I can try to help them with that problem and stuff like that.
So you're taking control of it so that you can directly communicate with your audience rather than just leaving it to YouTube's tools. Now, for people who are members, do they have to click in their community tab a drop down, or will they just see members only posts as they scroll through, say, your community tab?
Yeah, they'll see the members only post as they scroll through my community tab, and they should, depending on how the notification system's working at the time.
Go YouTube.
They should see them also in their feed somewhere as well. But that's another thing, and that's why I wanted to set up the Discord, Facebook group, and email list, because like let's say like Paul Peck, I believe, is a member on my channel. So like let's say with him, let's say that, he was busy working over the entire week, and he wasn't in the live stream last week where I announced that I was going to be doing a members only live stream this week. Right. And he wasn't on YouTube because he's just been busy. Right. So if he gets an email, hanging drywall,
skim coding.
Yep.
As Paul does.
So if he were to get an email, then he would be likely to see that email, to where maybe he just didn't even log into YouTube because he was busy. So, that's why I'm wanting to create those additional ways to reach people for that reason.
So softball question here. Anna mentioned earlier social media marketing world, and if you guys are going, Nick, you're actually going to be speaking. Tell us what's coming up for you with social media marketing world.
Yeah, so this is going to be my first social media marketing world. I am just crazy excited to go to it. And it's funny because when I was at Vid Summit, because Vid Summit for me is my, like, no matter what, I'm going to Vid Summit event, right? So that one is like already scheduled for, forever, so to speak.
Until the end.
Yeah, until the end. Until like I can't do this anymore, then I'm going to Vid Summit, right? So while I was at Vid Summit, because I've been going to different conferences and stuff over the course of the year, and this was my first time kind of making those rounds. So I was asking, friends, I believe I even asked you, I said, I'm asking everybody, because I'm coming from Thailand, it's a pretty big deal in terms of just the time commitment. It's expensive and all that stuff.
It's quite a flight.
It is in order to actually get over to these events. So I'm like, okay, I need to prioritize. So which ones are the most important events that I need to go to? And, Vid Summit, again, that's always on the list. But then social media marketing world, everybody's like, yeah, dude, you got to go to social media marketing world. So I was going to go to social media marketing world anyway. And then I ended up having a conversation with Mike Stelzner at Vid Summit. And we ended up, connecting later via email. And then I went on his podcast, and then he invited me to speak at Social Media Marketing World as well. So if you're coming to Social Media Marketing World, you definitely want to come into my presentation, because I'm going to be talking about how to actually grow a YouTube channel, how to start a YouTube channel that is going to grow.
Awesome. Great question here from our friend Gord Eisman. Asks, Dee, how do you decide when to produce Android versus iOS content versus whatever content? Is there a strategy?
Well, when I make Android content specifically, those videos always grow faster. The iOS videos, iPhone videos, those grow slower, but they do grow. So, and when I need to grow, when I know I need numbers,
like, hey, I need a spike.
I need a spike.
Yeah. I need a hit, man.
I need a hit, man. Hook me up, man.
Yeah.
Like, when I want channel growth, I know I need to either do an Android specific video, or I need to do a video that's cross-platform that covers both Android and iOS. Because if I do an iOS specific video, the growth doesn't come there. I'm taking one for the team when I put those out. But that's fine, because I want to take care of those subscribers who do have an iPhone, right? So the strategy is do as many cross-platform specific videos as I can. I don't really like to go Android specific. I want to keep cross-platform, and then I just sprinkle in the iPhone specific videos just here and there.
That's great. Question from Beanie Draws. How did Nick and Dee learn to start editing? Was it through experimentation and self-teaching, or did they take some online courses?
Yeah, he showed me. He actually taught me like the basics.
Can I just
laugh? And then I developed it from there.
Online courses.
I know, right? That wasn't even like available back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned a long time ago. Actually, a good friend of mine who got me started in video production, he was doing commercials and he was making small movies and stuff like that. And he said, "Oh, you need a Mac and you need to get Final Cut Pro." And I'm like, okay. When he kind of showed me how to do that, and just trial and error, countless, hundreds, if not thousands of hours were spent learning how to edit across, a couple different pieces of software.
Well, speaking of courses, Nick, you're actually working on a course that's going to be coming out soon, right?
Yeah, working on a course right now, a partner course with TubeBuddy. And that's going to be going into beta here sometime over the next few weeks. Maybe we might end up pushing to the beginning of next month, but it's going to be coming around the corner really soon. I actually have, if you go to my website, nicknimmin.com, there's actually a navigation option up there for course. And you want to make sure that you click on that and that you go and you actually sign up so that you can be notified when we actually go live with it.
And then you also have the Tuber Tools website, right? So if you need some type of motion graphic or lower third or channel cards or anything for your channel. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, any video graphics or anything like that, the little subscribe buttons that pop up and things like that. There's actually like a front end store where you can get stuff a la carte. And then there's also the membership side, which is actually a much better deal because of what you would pay for just like a few of the items in the front end store. You can get everything plus more stuff inside of the members area. So there's that front end store, and there's the members area, and that's at tubertools.com.
Dee, what do you have coming up?
I'm working on a course as well.
Nice.
It's a mobile course. So I'm going to walk people from, you just got your smartphone, you want to make content with it, or you want to be a mobile YouTuber. I'm going to take you from the very beginning and work you through the entire process. So at the end, you can be a good mobile YouTuber I'm going to go over lighting, go over
The
microphones.
best mobile
the
YouTuber.
best mobile YouTuber in the known universe. I got you covered. Do all the stuff you need to do on your phone. Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
So Grabster asks, how can we use other platforms like Twitter and Instagram to grow a community?
So the same exact rules apply. So like in that particular case, if you're trying to grow like a consistent fan base anywhere, then you want to make sure that you're posting quality content that specific audience that you are trying to reach would enjoy. So, like if you're growing on, like if you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, then you can also grow these other places as well and grow your influence there, which is a really smart thing to do because of a couple of reasons. One is you have these additional assets outside of YouTube in case something happens to your YouTube channel, and that happens from time to time. But in addition to that, you can also use those other platforms to help you start sessions on YouTube. So basically you can use them as a traffic source to where you're bringing in super high quality views into your YouTube channel because you're actually starting coming from those platforms onto YouTube.
Cool. Motivation theory, another good question. Patreon has been in the news a lot lately. Motivation theory asks thoughts about doing Patreon member only content if you are a YouTuber. Ways to not alienate or offend subscribers on YouTube when talking about Patreon.
In my opinion, I think that worrying, like if you have something that you're trying to accomplish, like let's say in your specific case, you're saying, okay, I'm going to do YouTube videos, I'm going to do Patreon, and I'm going to do these other social media things so that I can reach a specific bottom line that will allow me to be able to reach more people because I can invest in better equipment and I can go to conferences and all that stuff. Then in that particular case, in my personal opinion, then I would focus on making sure that you're delivering as much value as possible to get people over to your Patreon, and you're going to offend some people. There's going to be people, and it happens to me too. There's going to be people that are going to be like, oh, this is garbage. He wants, in order for, like he's just trying to get people over to his Patreon, or in order for him to help me, I got to give him money, or, whatever that is. There's got to be those people. It's just part of the gig. So, of course you can't make everybody happy, and you have to drive towards what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And by doing that, you're going to offend some people, and you just have to own it and say, I'm going to offend some people, but I'm still delivering awesome content. I'm delivering tons of value to the people that are watching my videos. But for those handful of people that are going to come in and they're going to be offended by what it is that I'm doing because I'm asking for support for all of this work that I'm putting into what it is that I'm doing and all this value that I'm bringing to tons of people on the internet, then, in my opinion, like it's worth sacrificing those people that don't understand that for the people that will, come in and support what it is that you're doing.
You're kind of like tightening up your tribe.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is that you're doing.
If people are going to leave your channel, like don't worry about people leaving your channel, because if they leave over something like that, they're not really somebody that's going to be that supportive anyway. Yeah. And I'm getting ready to start my Patreon account.
Yeah.
My channel. What do you call that? A channel?
Patreon.
I'm getting ready to start my Patreon.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm focusing on there is I'm going to do things that I actually don't do on YouTube so much. There's a lot of things that I actually want to do that I can provide a lot of value to mobile content creators, but it just doesn't really fit with my channel. So I'm looking to provide different value.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to leave over that, then
so be it.
There's the door, man.
And that's another thing too, like in our live stream.
This train is going this way.
One way.
It's going one way and you're on or off. Right.
So like
and it's moving fast.
So like on our live streams, for example, like I lose a ton of subscribers. Like I'm getting close to 100 subscriber loss per live stream. And the funny thing with that is there'll be people that'll come in like, hey, review my channel. And they'll see super chats coming in and they haven't like been a part of my channel. They don't know that we do free channel reviews, or they don't they don't want to go through the process of actually looking for something on Google and then putting the answer.
Right.
So what happens is they think that you either have to pay for it or that we're just randomly picking people, or they just don't understand what's going on and they get upset about it and they unsubscribe. So unfortunately, because I want to bring value to those people too, but unfortunately the way that, their worldview is, it's just, it is what it is. Right.
I'll ask you a question. I'll ask you guys a question that I asked Nick at Vid Summit, and that is, and there's probably no simple answer to it, but
I'm a snuggler. I snuggle.
If you have a YouTube channel, live streaming good for growing your channel, or live streaming more just, for focusing on people who are already subscribers and your interaction with them? or can you grow your channel and add new people through regular live streams?
You can
Depends on your niche.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. Like you can grow your channel with live streaming. And you can also hurt your channel with live streaming as well. It just depends on what it is that you're offering. So for example, like there's a lot of buzz in terms of like, live streaming, once a week or every now and then will kill your channel. But one thing that people aren't keeping in mind with that is like, let's say for example, that you are, an example that we were actually talking about the other day is, let's say that you have a tech channel and you're going live and you're just doing like a hangout, right? So it's like, hey, we're just like hanging out. We're just randomly talking about things. That's not really what those tech people are actually subscribed for. And because of that, you're
the new people who have just found your channel because they saw your videos, they click in, oh, they're live. Expecting tech. They go in expecting tech.
Right.
They see you're live and you're talking about like donuts.
Right. So like, so basically like they're expecting that and that tech presentation that you get with all the, cool looking stuff and all that the tech people do. And that's not what you're giving them with a live stream. So therefore, like the engagement on the stream is lower and all that stuff. Now, if you're a superstar, totally different situation. Like Linus Tech Tips, for example, he can go live and like his chat's going so fast, but it's because people are into him and what it is that he's doing because of, because he's at that level.
If you've never seen Linus Tech Tips live, it is a sight to behold. The super chats coming in, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. 10,000 people watching. It's like,
but if you can keep in line, though, if you can keep things in line in terms of what it is that, again, you got to think of the audience. What is it that the audience is here for? What is it that the audience is for? Like with ours, of course, we add banter to it. We might even talk about donuts. I know we talk about M&Ms a lot.
We're talking about donuts tonight.
Yeah, we're even talking about donuts right now. But
now we are.
But we still deliver that core value of answering people's questions, and we actually take it a step farther. Because we say, okay, not only are we just answering questions in a video format, but we're actually taking your question right now live, and we're actually trying to work through this with you. And we're actually going to pull up your YouTube channel. And we're going to say, hey, you should fix this. You should fix this. You should fix this. And, you'll get better results if you do this, that, and the other thing. So, so we're actually providing a service that is directly in line with what it is that we're already doing.
Yeah. So, we get large traffic spikes, very large spikes when we live stream. But I've seen stats from other people
to where they
go the other direction.
Yeah. And again, I'd like to reverse this also. And remember, like when we were talking about before in terms of each channel being like its own thing, right? Like, keep that in mind with the live streaming as well, to where like, on one channel, test it, right? Test it for a while and see how it does. And if you have a second channel, test it there for a while and see how it does. And you might get different results on the two different channels depending on what it is that you're doing.
Well, thank you guys so much. It took about 40 minutes till we figured out the technology, but you guys stuck around and helped out not only through that, but stayed on for a full hour. I know you got to run to do your live stream with your community members. And I just want to thank you again. How did you like the experience of doing an interview side by side?
It's cool. Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool.
Yeah,
I was really hoping we could get into some nitty gritty childhood stories, but
next time.
There's
part 2 coming up.
Yeah.
So check them out every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube on Nick Nimmin's channel, youtube.com/Nick Nimmin. 9 a.m. Eastern is the 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 5 hour, 6 hour, sometimes 7 hour live stream. Get your channel reviewed, get all the latest tips and tools. Subscribe to their channels. It's easy to remember: Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin. And of course, use that hashtag Nimminati whenever you share anything online about Nick and Dee. Go see Nick speak at Social Media Marketing World and look out for courses from both of them. Nick is amazing with YouTube channel growth and monetization. Dee is the master of everything to do with mobile video. And again, it's awesome chatting with you guys. Can't wait to hang out with you again.
Yeah, always nice hanging out, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Social Media Marketing World as well. Yeah, man, it's awesome talking to you as always.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks to everybody for joining us. This is Brand on Broadcasting. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do click that subscribe button, click the like button, share this out, let people know we had a couple of amazing guests here, Nick Nimmin and Dee Nimmin. Have a great day, or over in Thailand, have a great night. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ross.